And welcome back to episode 31 of the Football Fanatic podcast. I'm your host, Declan O'Connor. With me, as always, Daniel and Howard. Lads, how are you doing? How are you?
All good, all
Well,
good,
Declan,
Deck.
I think we're in better nick than you are, Declan.
Yeah, you're
I've
you're you're currently under your overdose at the moment, are you? With some drugs?
overdose. I'm on some painkillers. I had a nasal nasal surgery on Friday, but yeah, I'm still here. I'm in the chair. I'm ready to talk football.
So when you're talking
Um,
shite for
just
the next
ignore me.
hour, like yeah, it'll
If
be
I go
worse,
off.
more shite than you usually talk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
That'll
whatever I
be.
whatever I say for the next hour or so, if I go off on a tangent, ignore me if it makes no sense. And if it
Just
does
mute
make sense,
him.
exactly. If it does make sense, enjoy it. Thank you very much to all who continue to listen and watch. What to call it next week? It's an international break. We're taking a break next Monday. But we'll say with this weekend gone by. FA Cup weekend slash Premier League weekend. Some really good games, as always, some very controversial decisions. VAR played its part in some of the games, but there's only one place to start, and that is the theater of dreams. But Dan, was it a dream or was it a fucking nightmare? How are you feeling?
It was a bit of a nightmare, I think. Yeah. Now look, it's kind of coming past me now, but there was a couple of minutes. I think I'm referencing it on the podcast here. It was the if United were to win, there would be a certain cohort of my friends who are Man United fans, not all of them, that would be coming out of their sewers
And
and into WhatsApp groups and
are
rearing
you
their ugly
so
vermin heads.
are
There's a
you
few of them that
suggesting that they are rats?
There's a few of them. I find it very, very distasteful when you have in your in groups, especially football kind of related chat groups, and not certain cohorts aren't contributing because their team is not doing well. They can't
Yeah,
even have a
yeah.
bit of banter or crack. Like it's just they just go off the Richter, and then every so often they just kind of come out they keep out every so often, and then it won't take long before they'll be back down there quiet again. But just yeah, it was more that I think than anything really was the kind of the you have to put everything into perspective. It was cup game for me. Liverpool were the only team outside of Man City that can win the FA Cup. And now that United have beaten us, I still think now that it really City will win that. It'll be kind of a carbon copy of games gone by. United will beat Coventry, City will beat Chelsea, and then look, you'll have your day out at Wembley, but there'll only be one winner, and it'll probably be like it was earlier in the season, which was the City kind of dictating and masterclass for the majority of the game, and United just kind of looking like they're an average enough team, which they probably, realistically they are. But like, look, yesterday, they I suppose,
It
for
dug
large
deep.
periods, yeah,
Yeah.
for large periods, we dominated the game. I thought second half, like I've never seen us dominate as much as we did in that second half against them. But like at the end of the day, three individual mistakes cost us goals, and United punished us. I think it
From
was one of them. It was one of them though where like if Liverpool had a won, you can imagine the amount of abuse that Rashford would have got in particular because between missing
Just
chances, I
miss.
know one that was
Yeah,
yeah his miss, one that was offside, and one that wasn't. But then even his tracking back for Kwanzaa's
oh
run,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
he was in for it if they hadn't have won the game. But look, it is frustrating because it was there for the taking. That's the annoying thing. It's kind of not them where you're kind of we weren't really unlucky because there were three very silly mistakes and they're uncharacteristic of the way our season has gone. And you have to give it to United. They've done that a few times this season where they've dug in. They haven't played great, but yet they've managed to dig out some sort of a result. So, it'll give them a bit of a boost. I'm sure games
Yeah.
coming thick and fast down the league when we come back after the international break. But regards to the cup, like fair enough, they're going to go to Wembley. But I genuinely, I'd be shocked if they manage to win the FA Cup. Yeah.
No, fair enough. From a neutral point of view, watching the game, Howard,
mm,
I think you're of the same opinion that it's
yeah.
a really enjoyable game.
It
Great
was.
game,
Sorry,
great
Harry. Yeah.
game. I was kind of hoping maybe Liverpool would win the game.
Really?
Well, just from
Howard
a
loves
number.
Liverpool.
Well, just from a number of games point of view for
Okay,
what's
okay.
left,
Okay.
like you know what I mean.
All
And
right. Fuck you, Howard.
if Liverpool, yeah, if Liverpool were to get City, in either the final or semi final, that could take something out of them. Or both teams. But I thought, yeah, look, I thought it was a end to end, very exciting game for a neutral.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was like completely. It was a cup game. It was just frantic, end to end,
Yeah,
back and forth. It
brilliant.
was so different to a league match. Just there was no kind of everyone forget kind of being, it wasn't cagey, just went for it. And one thing actually that kind of struck me was, do you see the face on Klopp at times when the camera got to him? He was disgusted at times. Like he was ready to spit fire at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah. Some would say he was out of shape, I'd say, nearly.
We'll get to that in a sec as well.
Get that in a sec. But yeah, look, he's like he could have what, it's second last visit to
Yeah,
United with Liverpool. He's he's looking to still stay on track for the quadruple. But he's that's just him, especially against their fiercest rivals. He'll up it himself, like, you know what I mean, on the sideline. And maybe he didn't like what he saw in the first half. From the Liverpool team, because they kind of they didn't start great, but they kind of edged their way back into it. And as you said, Dan, they dominated in the second half, but they were still open at times at the back. I felt like there was some simple balls over the top that just caught out Liverpool.
yeah,
And
But there was about
whatever
20, but there was about 20 minutes where
yeah,
United actually couldn't even get the ball. Like Liverpool,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
like a
yeah,
training
yeah,
game.
dominated, yeah, yeah.
But once they kind of got level, it was United looked like the team were going to win it with like 5, 6 minutes to go. But look, I do think that yeah, they were maybe at times a bit open. But Jesus, how many chances did we have second half where there was 5-on-2s, there was 5-on-3s,
Yeah.
and just they kept fucking it up.
Yeah, I
oh yeah,
think
100%.
like from a United point of view, if you're a United fan, you would be saying like Manu is a revelation for them. Brilliant player, and Garnacho. I think the two of them really have
Yeah,
stepped it up this year. Like, you know what I mean,
yeah,
and
he's a
like
great
that.
player.
Yeah,
He is a
the
fantastic.
two of them kind of give them a bit of hope, like
Yeah,
going forward, like, and probably maybe, if Ten Hag stays around or whatever this season, or if he goes, whatever, at least they'll have something to build on, regardless. You know what I mean? They have a few great young players, and that's probably what the fans need to kind of have to get behind now at the moment, because otherwise it's fairly bleak, like,
yeah.
in the grand scheme of
Could
things.
like, is it too much? Is it way too far to say that that game could have saved Ten Hag, or would he have always have made it to the end of the season at
If it
least?
was a hammering, if there were at the end of a hammering, I'd say at Old Trafford, you could say that could sign him off for the end of the
Yeah,
season.
Yeah, well, not
But
beforehand though. Not before it though.
I don't know what to make of him. Like, he's I know I keep bringing this up every thing, but he keeps talking about Arsenal in every press conference he does after every game. He goes back to the Arsenal game at the start of September and talks about Garnacho scoring that goal. And it was like he was offside, and he said that we could have had a goal, and Rasmus Højlund should have had a penalty. He's like the only man on the planet that thinks Højlund should have had a penalty, and he
yeah.
keeps bringing it up. It's weird. The question was like, could this be a turning point for your team? And then he goes like, cast your eyes back to September, the 6th of September, like 7 months ago or whatever it is.
But
And remember, we
yeah,
nearly beat Arsenal at that time. We got robbed. And he
but
keeps bringing it up. It's just weird, really
but when you
weird.
put it into perspective though, around even that kind of we've had this conversation several times. I was
Yeah.
tipping up there a few weeks ago that I think they'll get Champions League, that they'll go on a run. Like each time you kind of expect them to kick on. Like they've so many times this season have been able to string 3 or 4 wins together. So
Yeah.
they could easily, it's not out of their round that they go away to Brentford after the
Yeah.
break and lose. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
That's just
100%.
there's no you can't trust them. I suppose is the
Yeah, but
easiest.
that's kind of what I get with Tag. Like, I'm talking tongue in cheek about the Arsenal, but like it's this thing like of like move on, like move on. You just after winning a great game. Let's talk about like, there's a perfect chance there. Like, is this a turning point in the season? Like, use it to try and get your players up for it. He seems to have a chip on his shoulder or something, not to do with Arsenal, but just in general, he seems to have a chip on his shoulder of like people not thinking that he's failing this year, and he's kind of he's living in the past to a point. Like, he needs to try and rev up his players a bit, because I think looking at that and kind of having a bit of it's like a bit of anger, but a bit of kind of you know, just a chip on his shoulder. I think it just has an effect on him. He can clearly has. He can't seem to. He's not in. He's
Yeah.
been in a position where he's been like kind of failing in a season, and he's not really dealing with it that well, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
If he came across as having a chip on his shoulder, what did Jurgen Klopp come across as having? Because I don't. I think Klopp is brilliant. I know he do. I know Ebo obviously do
Mm.
as well. But his interviews, every now and again, like you'd hate to see him like angry about something else actually matters in life, because he's as he like I'd say he's like a bull when he sees red, like outside of football. He'd just go for you, because if something like what a reporter can say, what exactly did the reporter say that annoyed him so much, that the intensity wasn't there or something like
He
that?
said
Basically,
intensity, yeah,
yeah, it was their
extra
intensity.
time.
Yeah, it was like why wasn't it there in extra time? And from Klopp's point of view, he's like, we're playing every fucking 3 days. It's
Yeah.
extra time. We're literally, we've so many injuries. So I can get why he was annoyed, but there
But
was no
then,
need to
yeah,
bite
but
at
then
it.
he said, like, the
you
reporter
know,
said, just the reporter then said, "Oh, so you're saying you too many games?"
Yeah.
And then he lost the plot, like,
I think
which was
that's a fair
I
follow-up.
think
Yeah.
it's a fair question, like,
Yeah.
and like, it's almost like a get out of jail. It's like, yeah, it's too many games, like, you know what I mean?
And then he
He
goes
was-
mental and says, "What was his words, Dan?"
you're not in great shape yourself or something. Yeah. And your man was just like looking at him, and he just goes on. And he said something else. He said,
Yeah,
I've
my
no nerve. I've no nerve for you.
my nerves are gone.
Yeah. And your
He
man
just
is
walked
in
out.
terrible shape. Like,
No, he
looks
was. He
all
was a
right, like,
normal lad.
Yeah.
Like,
normal
it's not,
shape.
not like he
Yeah.
was fat or obese or something. But
No, you could see that. I think, look, I suppose there is that whole thing that it's the farewell thing, and it would have been another round at Wembley, and it was again, as I said to you, they threw away really, essentially, I think, and he was pissed off. And if you listen to even some of what he said in some of the other press conferences, or around, because obviously they do the post match, and you go and you do your presser with your with the media, and then I don't even know where that landed, like what that interview was for or
the
who it was for.
Scandinavian
Was
reporter.
there something?
Scandinavian,
Yeah. So he probably at that stage he had a good few of them under his belt, but I'd say he was just fucking fed up. But in fairness,
yeah.
look, we can say it, like, fair enough, and I'm not trying to justify, like, there was no need for him to fight and to kind of to kind of say what he said, but like, I prefer a manager to be like rattled and be shown how they are, as opposed to say like the PR kind of thing, or even the Ten Hag thing of every game is like the same kind of that we play.
No.
At least, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to be offended, because it's not. I'm not defending, but I just mean at least he wears his heart in his sleeve, and he's saying how he's fucking feeling. He's pissed off.
Yeah, that intensity he brings to his management, like, you know what I mean? Like, he is fuming. Like, if that reporter is getting that, you can imagine what the fucking players are getting. Like, you know what I mean?
I can imagine what Nunes is getting. Like,
the players will be eating peas for fucking breakfast rather than fucking comments. But no, you made a good point there, that, because that is. But what I don't like is making it personal. You know what I mean? You didn't need to. You can be pissed off and all that, but you don't need to cut deep like that and make it personal.
Do you remember? You remember this, Howard? I don't know about Equal, but do you remember there during the Ireland international teams league, or their Nations League, and then the qualifiers campaign, where Tony Donoghue and Martin O'Neill, O'Neill a few times was like just fucking constantly biting at him, and poor Tony Donoghue's in the game a long time, like he got like made a show of it like once or twice, and it doesn't look good. It's not.
There's no respect for him, like, you know.
No, there's no. It's not. What's the word? An interviewer or whatever is only doing their job now, unless they just said something highly offensive or highly stupid. Like, I think there's been a few of them recently. Do you remember Brendan Rodgers? I don't know if you were following that one with the female reporter.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of them kind of recently where there's been little like kind of a
niggles.
Even Postecoglou as well. Like, he's a couple of times now pitched hard back at some of the comments that are made towards his team and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But that one was insulting, and I think it kind of went over the line. And I'd be surprised if there isn't some sort of like where he's apologized to him or ran.
No, I don't have to be. There's something like. And the question is, like, is the British media kind of, he's their darling child from a point of view, like, it's the last hurrah and all that. Will they turn him into, some, like, Arteta gets awful grief for jumping around place in the sideline. You know what I mean? He gets
loads of managers do that.
Yeah, loads of managers.
Loads of managers.
And like, Arteta celebrates, and he's like, oh, look at him there, over celebrating and all that. So, like, there is I suppose there's a biasness within the media at points, like, and it's just wondering, like, will journalists call him out on that?
Yeah, just get down the tunnel.
Just get down the tunnel. Yeah.
Interesting enough, did Arteta slag off Conceição's mother there?
Yeah, well, this is what he said. Like,
did
he insulted his family?
His mother.
Apparently, what is his mother? His mother who's not with us anymore, apparently.
Yes.
But Conceição said the same thing about Pep Guardiola, said something offensive to him, and he said Tuchel said something like, so this lad just, I think, comes out and says,
we should do an episode where we just get the best funniest things that managers have ever said, insult people.
I'm gonna finish this piece on my personal favorite, when Alan Pardew went, Manuel Pellegrini, remember him?
Yeah.
And he went to Alan Pardew, they were rowing on the sideline, and he goes to Manuel, just sit down, you old piece of shit. That was brilliant.
Pardew, he's a bit of a dumb.
But anyway, look, in regards to the draw, and you just looking at the FA Cup and going forward, like, you'd imagine I think it'd be City United and or Manchester Derby final in the FA Cup. So,
Yeah,
it'd be interesting enough, and I do have a fairly strong opinion on which way it'll go. But the other side of it, I think I mentioned into the group is that I would be happy for Eric Ten Hag to stay on, and I think when Man United fans settle down from they've beaten Liverpool, there's no trophy for beating Liverpool. That's how my WhatsApp group was like last night. It's where they'd won something from they've obviously won the Pride War or something, because that there was the messages were flooding in. But it's the perspective around Eric Ten Hag when it does settles. United fans, would they be happy enough for him to be there next season? Like the ones I've been talking to think he'll be gone, will be gone, and then most of them will be happy enough for him to be gone because, again, no style of play, all the kind of things we talked about here, and it's been bashed around by Neville and Carter and the rest all season. So, like, if
who
this
the,
manages,
who the hell takes over if he goes?
I don't know. Well, that's maybe a question.
There's another. That's probably another episode.
But like, and it'd be good to get a United fan on maybe for that to get their perspective on if he was to go, who would they go for? But like the thing is if they were to win the FA Cup, like, would you be happy enough going into a third season with Ten Hag if they manage to win an FA Cup but they don't even get Europe or don't get Champions League? They'll probably get Europe, but they won't get Champions if they didn't get Champions League. Even though it was a good weekend for them the way the results went with Spurs and Villa,
Yeah.
but for me it was kind of like, okay, how where are United fans? Where's the thinking now around? We're only 10 games left. The talk has been that they're looking at other options. We read stuff in the papers around holding talks and whether or not it's bullshit or whether or not there's some truth in it. But you'd imagine that he is a man that's still highly under pressure, particularly if they don't get the Champions League.
Oh, he does. He looks like a man who's under pressure.
He does.
The way he talks and everything. But like it's a very, I think, like, let's say you look at Klopp, Arteta, and Pep, like that standard of managing, like, is, I think, probably the best in the world. Like them three are like up there with, I think, the best at the moment. And like Ten Hag obviously had a great record coming in, but like to hit them levels is, I say, it's quite difficult. Like, it's not, maybe Xabi Alonso maybe might be a person who might be able to go to that level with a good team, but like it's very difficult. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to say like he's good, but he's probably not good enough, like, in the grand scheme of things.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Right, so results elsewhere. So the FA Cup, City 2, Newcastle 0. Newcastle looked like they just need the season to be finished with. Chelsea 4, Leicester 2, Wolves 2, Coventry 3, which is brilliant to see. I haven't seen Coventry in a long time.
No. Did you see what the manager did when they got the winner? Did you see that with the ball boy?
No.
No, did you see that? No.
What did he do?
So I don't know the manager, the Coventry City manager, but it was all over social media. Gary O'Neill was going mental about it was disgusting what he did. So basically, when Coventry got the winner, the ball boy a minute or two beforehand had been really slow giving back the ball, and he was kind of smiling and just kind of winding him up. And this fella apparently is very like level headed, doesn't really lose the head at all. But he like turned around and started screaming in his face like, "Oh!"
To the ball boy.
Yeah. Gary O'Neill was there afterwards going, the poor ball boy, he's distraught. And he was like, I had to go and meet. I can't remember what his name was, but he was, I had to go and I had to say it to him afterwards. But he did apologise to Coventry manager. But you're right, Tech. Like, I remember Coventry back. Was it Darren Huckerby? Was it?
That was it. That's who I was thinking. Like Mr. Coventry.
Dion Dublin was there. Yeah. Gordon Strachan, player manager for a couple of years.
Geez, yeah.
That was
some story.
We're talking mid-90s, but absolutely, yeah. Coventry. Yeah. I mean, they have
magic on a cup deck.
100%. Look. This United squad, Coventry playing them at Wembley, I'd imagine United will have enough, but you just never know unless the magic at a cup. Right, so the Premier League results over the weekend. Burnley 2, Brentford 1. Have they left it too little, too late? We will see.
Up to 17 points now. Your prediction was right last week.
Fulham 3, Spurs 0. That was a big one. West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1, and then I suppose the most relevant one given today's kind of proceedings with Nottingham Forest. Luton 1, Notts Forest 1. And today we have seen Notts Forest have been deducted 4 points and they now find themselves in 18th place, a point behind Luton. So, I mean, a lot to kind of decipher with that decision. But one question I have is like, do you think that we're going to see more of these point deductions, as in will teams continue to spend and almost take the risk of not bringing in or not matching their expenditure versus their income, or will they tailor it back a little bit.
I think what Howard said there was on our
Yeah,
podcast the week
last
before.
week.
Yeah, was around that it kind of resets, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
3 years, every 3
Yeah.
years. Like.
But I think the one that are in trouble, that could be in trouble, is Chelsea, because
Yeah.
I was reading a report there over the weekend around them, and that there is talk that that Todd Bowley was over in Saudi Arabia trying to line up a few
before June or whatever.
Before June, to line up a couple of them, because apparently they're going to be
fucked,
stuck. They're fucked basically if they don't either
Okay,
sell a couple of theirs. So I'd imagine that you think now that like the way that it's happened and people have teams have lost points, that everyone's going to be an awful lot tighter and things are going to be managed a lot better, you would think, because these rules have been there for a long time, because they were never implemented properly.
Yeah.
Like, if you listen in that the live debate on the overlap, and the Evertonian guy that they had on,
I saw that.
He was talking about it, he's right, like, he was like, there's loads of clubs
he was giving out shit about it,
yeah, the loads of clubs have been spending money, but it was never that basically it's the kind of, they don't want the government coming in and getting a regulator in, they don't want to get them a buzz, they want to be seen to be able to manage their own house. So it's like, so I think he's probably right that there is been teams that have overspent, but it's not really, people haven't really bothered to. I would think going forward though that things will be a lot kind of stricter that way.
But I know, like, we're kind of coming from the fans' point of view, like, if they bring in these rules, and I know, like, they're kind of updating this profit and sustainability thing, and they're bringing in something even newer. But, like, is that kind of taken away from the fun of it? Like, I love the summer transfer window. You see who your club is going to go for and that. But I mean, if this comes into play, and regardless of it being the first year of a new 3-year cycle, I mean, if clubs are kind of being, yeah, you want them to be responsible, but you also want them to be ambitious.
Well, like, I think the idea of this is twofold. Is like to stop teams going into administration, number one, but also to actually curb the volume of money that's actually being spent in,
especially state-funded ones.
Especially state-funded ones. Like, your 100 million for 100 million for rice is like an extortionate amount of money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, if they were to bring all these regulations in and people were a bit stricter about the money they were spending, the top person could go for 50 million rather than 100 million. So the top salary might be 250k rather than whatever 350 or 500k or whatever someone's on. But the first thing about going into administration, I think the way, and I think Gary Neville mentioned this as well before, I think the way to do it is whoever is the highest revenue in the league, that should be, let's say, your revenue for all the other clubs that they can go to. So what I mean is, like, it shouldn't be based on every club's revenue. It should be based on the highest team's bracket, I suppose. I mean, so, like, so what I mean is, like, let's say Man City can only lose 105 million based on their revenue, after they take in all the revenue. But everyone else, if they're the richest club, let's say, everyone else can go up, can lose a lot more based when reducing their revenue, if you know what I mean. So basically what I mean is it gives a level playing field, but it also puts a cap on things. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where you get it.
There's a fairly good argument there. Another argument, I suppose, or another side to it is, like, a football club is in essence a company, and therefore the owners, I mean,
are responsible for it.
They're responsible for it, but it is their company, it is their business to do it as they please. I know we've seen in the past many of these owners doing, running clubs into the ground, basically. I mean, Portsmouth comes to mind, Blackburn, Venky's. Do you remember Venky's? Leeds, Portsmouth, so I said them already. But there are also examples of football clubs being run well. Liverpool being one of them, City being another one. I know you have your question marks over that, but
I just find this hilarious just listening to you talk about, like, the way you're talking, like, about this whole,
Dan, look,
knowing well in the soul of souls. You go deep, you dig deep into that soul. I know you know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Dan, if you go back to 1999 and you go back to where City were, and you go back 25 years later,
the violin out there, Howard.
Fuck the violin. I don't need a violin. What do you call it? I'm just saying, if you look at the club then and you look at the club now, right, and you think it was all done underhandedly, etc.
Not all.
Okay, not for a period.
It was run well. Like, it was run well. Like, they had the right people in place, but like, you didn't go by the rules. Like, that's the
hold on. You don't know that, all right? You don't know that. You think that, and you're allowed to think whatever you want. right? But you don't know that
I have
yet.
115 thoughts running around my head. Don't worry.
I'd say you have a lot more thoughts than that in your head, Howard. But what do you call it? My point is that like a club, if it's been run well and there's evidence that it's been run well, that the owner of a club should be allowed to spend money as they
Mm.
wish.
Mm.
I get the need for rules, absolutely, because I mean we've seen the likes of Portsmouth go into administration. More kind of recent Everton points deduction. Now today, not Forrest points deduction. So yes, there is a need for rules and regulations, but there has to be, you know, what the word is, what's the word? Basically, the owners of a club, it's their business. They're in charge of what they do, and I mean, they are also kind of giving back to the league and having a club play in this league. So they should be allowed. They shouldn't be as restricted, as I'm trying to say.
Yeah. See,
That-
yeah. Once you go through I'm with you in that deck, but like let's say if you get Newcastle, for example, and there was no rules. Do you know what I mean? It would basically be Newcastle versus Man City, like whatever, Dubai against Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Mbappe and
Who
Haaland up
spend
front
they'll
for
go to
Newcastle.
battle on the biggest fees, and that'll just
Yeah.
completely explode the market. But like I agree with you then. It doesn't mean that like if you're a Crystal Palace or Everton that you have to gradually get better and better and better, like get your revenue up another 10 million each year, and it's so slow that you can only eventually, by the time it's like 50 years down the line, you can actually compete with these people. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't seem right either.
No.
So
Where does it like? I mean, obviously the market has gone ridiculously. You were saying Rice 100 million, but I mean Neymar was it 200 and something
oh
million?
yeah, that's
Yeah, and I think Abramovich, the Abramovich era kind of started that. That was kind of the start of it, where they had players, 20, 30 million, seen as a lot
Yeah.
of money, 40 million. Then suddenly, I think when the Abramovich era kind of started to take off, and they were spending, shitloads of money
Yeah.
on players, and then City came in then as well, and United then started overspending on players because they were desperate for players. So you ended up with this kind of just merge of fucking
Yeah.
chaoticness, and when you see like Anthony there's price and what he's gone for. So there's no doubt that the market like this will I don't know what's the right term to use, but this will level it off a bit.
Will it reverse it?
Well, it'll definitely level off, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But
Somewhat,
have the
you know.
Premier League not benefited of financially because of how chaotic things have got with like the amount of money that's been spent on players, etc. Like it's almost
Yeah.
like the money involved with players' fees and transfers and agents and all that. The Premier League have benefited because of all these top players coming into the league, top coaches coming into the league. They're able to go to TV companies and say, look, what you paid us a few years ago, that's not going to cut it anymore. We
Well,
want more.
that's why the Premier League are doing so well. They're
That's
doing
what I
real.
mean. Like,
But like the thing is that this is what it's like just now with Newcastle now, just newly two state-owned clubs
Yeah.
in the league. So like this, like where City have got to now, there's been whatever how many years the ownership is, 10 15 years, whatever it is. Like it's only now that they're seeing that all that kind of fruition. Like if every team was owned by a different country in the
yeah,
or different sheiks in the league, it would just be crazy. It would just be crazy. Like, and then you still have your Crystal Palace who no one wants to buy.
And
So
then
you can't compete.
you wonder, will it now though, if that's the way it's kind of gone, and if it remains that way or around that way, will the Premier League not become as lucrative for, say, people to, like, is it a clubs go for sale? Will there be as much interest in it?
that's what I mean. Yeah.
If will it impact on that? I wonder.
Are
It's
they?
still obviously
Yeah.
a market for it because it is the best league in the world, it's the most watched league in the world. But will it put off people if they come in and they can't invest and they can't
Absolutely.
bring a club up to a better standard or whatever? Yeah.
Basically, if there is not an opportunity for an outside owner to come in and make money, etc., will the Premier League as a product suffer?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably will. But like the thing is that like they've put themselves in a position now that the Premier League they're in the best. They've created the best league
Yeah.
in the world at the moment, so they can fiddle with the rules to make sure that we don't drop off to a certain standard, but try and keep
Just the way
keep
you
the
say
craziness
that
down.
just the way you say that kind of sums all this up. They can
Yeah.
fiddle with the
Yeah,
rules.
fiddle with it. Like that's what it is. Like like
Yeah.
they're tweaking it now in August. The new sustainability rules. They'll tweak it in such a way that it's not going to be drastically bad for the league, but
Yeah.
it will also try and put a stunt on the state-owned clubs, I guess.
Can I ask, is Forrest thing just basically due to the fact they got 42 players, or whatever it was last year? Is that why they're in where they're
35
at?
million loss, I think. Or over the under five.
Because they were in over the last 3 years, because they were in the championship for one of those years, the rules did apply to them for 2 of the years in the Premier League and 1 year in the championship. So it was kind of a mixture of both. So what do you call it? It was 35 million above, and they are getting a 4-point deduction as opposed to Everton's 10 and then reduced to 6. They're getting a 4-point because they fully admitted that they were in the wrong. They went along with it, and they're not being punished. So therefore, like, they're wondering, is there any grounds for appeal, because they've basically admitted, they've accepted 100% what they did. So they're just wondering, like, is if we go and appeal this, like, is it a case of the exact same? It's going to end up as 4 points regardless. So they don't know. What I'm reading on Sky Sports is they don't know if they're going to appeal.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like when you think of, I know it's with different terms in regards money and club stature, but like basically what Chelsea have done is a lot of what Forrest has done. Isn't it? They just went and bought loads of random fucking players over a period of time. And when you actually think about it now, when you look at their team on paper, like, can any of them are any good?
Yeah.
The ones they bought. I forgot they bought Divock Origi because I seen them play there, I guess, just a couple of weeks ago. But like they went and got a lot of random ones in as well. I think they're in trouble. They were in trouble before the 4-point deduction, and I think they're just in more trouble now. Like they're.
Well, I mean, I have the table here in front of me, right? So I think from 14th down. So Palace are in 14th, around 29. Brentford then 15th on 26. Everton in 16th on 25. Luton are in 17th now on 22. Notts Forest in 18th on 21. Burnley 19th on 17 points. And then Sheffield United in 20 on 14 points. So, I mean, 29 points in Palace. Burnley are on 17. I mean, it's not. Like, I thought Burnley, I still think Burnley are gone, but a lot of these teams have to play each other yet. So, I mean, you never know what could happen. The team after Crystal Palace are on 35. I can't remember who it is. Is it Bournemouth? Yeah. Bournemouth are on 35. So I think they'd be safe enough. I think from Palace down, though, anything could happen.
Yeah, it's always thought when you get a new manager is new to the league, and like if that goes one or two ways, they can get the bounce factor, but also we've seen a lot of them that have come in and it's like a rabbit in headlights. Like, was it before come in originally to Palace a couple of years ago? Came in with a reputation, and he was 6 or 7 games in, they lost them all, or whatever, and he's a top. But it can happen. So they're definitely not out of it. Looking at Brentford there, I was just interested. I clicked into Burnley just to see, you were saying that, so like they play Forest in the last day of the season.
That's right, yeah.
Just looking at it here, and they have to play Sheffield United as well. So yeah, as you said, a lot of them have to play each other. So it's hard one to call. Oh, I still think Burnley and Sheffield United would still go down though. I know Burnley got the result against Brentford, but Brentford played the majority of that game with 10 men. And actually nearly still came back and got a draw as well. I think Blake goal disallowed for a foul. But yeah, I think that, like, of the ones that are there, like, for me, I'd love to see Luton stay up, because I think even though they've shot the togs and won the more occasions this season now, and they've been in front, in particular, the former one was insane, wasn't it? There,
4-3, was it? Yeah,
absolutely.
3-0 up, like, and even the goals they conceded, like when they were 3-0 up, it was like they were still going all out attack. But I'd love to see them stay up, because I think they've been a breath of fresh air. And in fairness, we all slagged them off and had to crack their start of the season. But they've been entertaining. Like, you watch a Luton game, I wouldn't watch a Sheffield United game. Forrest, even, like, I'm surprised, but the kind of Tony things when Brentford got him back, I thought they'd be all right, but they've just kind of dramatically can't seem to pick up results. And even though, like, Thomas Frank has been linked with bigger jobs, he's been linked with getting a bigger job, but like they're in the mix there. So for me, the 3 that are there, like, that could be it. Forrest,
yeah. It would be cool to see Luke stay up. But
they have a bit of character and fight in them, and like it's like, and they're scoring goals. When you look at a lot of the other sides, they're struggling to score. Like, at least I know they're conceding a lot, but at least to give themselves a chance in games because they score. But a lot of the other ones, they're struggling even to get a goal, or to, like Everton again. You're looking at Everton going. We thought, like, once even though they got the points deduction, like, they were flying earlier in the season, or like they were a number of games on deep. But no, it's so. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting battle on both fronts, I think, for the Premier League.
Imagine if Burnley and Sheffield United both went on runs, though.
Like, that would put the cat amongst the pigeons.
Honestly,
or if Brentford got dragged into it, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see how that plays out. Now, on to the next piece. So, the European draws for the Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference took place on Friday. So, some very, very good looking draws in the Champions League, first of all. So, Arsenal versus Bayern versus the winners of Real versus City. And then on the other side of it, Atletico Madrid versus Dortmund versus the winners of PSG and Barcelona. So we'll go to Champions League first. Pretty good draw. Howard, are you happy with Arsenal's draw?
Happy, yeah. I like definitely didn't want City, and I just didn't want Atletico Madrid. Didn't want City for, well, obviously the main reason they're the favorites in the tournament and probably the best team in it, but also I didn't want them because we haven't been into the Champions League in I don't know how long, and like to go and then play like the biggest, your quarter final that we haven't been in 14 years against an English team, it would have been just a bit like,
Yeah,
wouldn't really feel like a Champions League tie to a point. So I'm kind of I was happy that, and Atletico Madrid I thought would just be the same shite that Porto tried to pull, like the just that dark arts time waste
yeah,
and kind of stuff that you just want to turn off your TV if you're watching it. So I'm actually quite happy with the Bayern Munich game, to be honest. Think it's a game that like it'll probably be 50-50 to a point, but we could easily beat them and we probably should beat them. But also like it kind of takes the pressure off. I think the Porto game, like everyone expected us to go through, would have been a bit of a flop if we didn't get through. But like, we go against one of the big dogs now in Bayern Munich, and we kind of hopefully show what we can do
yeah,
rather than like be worried about getting knocked out, like, because
yeah.
they are a force to play against in general. But it'd be interesting because I know City fairly destroyed them. When was that? 2 seasons ago or last season, or
They
when
It
was
destroyed
that?
them last.
was
Yeah, they destroyed them last season,
in
didn't
the
they?
quarter,
Over.
in the quarters
Yeah,
last season.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
they
and
did, obviously they probably improved. They got that centre half in from Napoli, didn't they? And they
they
got
got Kim, yeah man, Kim, and they got
and
and
Kane.
Kane,
You
Kim and
know,
Kane.
like, yeah, like, but they're kind of a team that suit Arsenal, no? Yeah,
Yeah, they're
like,
not they're not they're not that quick. They're quite a slow team.
yeah.
So like,
I
yeah,
think they've gone backwards this season. Bayern.
yeah,
Yeah, no, no. What I'm saying is I think them two players have improved them, but I suppose when you look at their domestic form, that would show that they're not playing that well. And
Yeah,
even if they were, though, even if they were flying, I still think that
yeah. It's
they're a good side for Arsenal. Again, I just think that Arsenal will like, as you said there, Porto, Atletico Madrid, something similar to that, and Arsenal probably there's been games this season like us as well. Liverpool have struggled against that kind of low block, kind of defensive, slowing down the game constantly, cynical fouls. So, but Munich don't play like that. Munich
yeah.
are, and then Munich will fly forward. Johan Musiala, the Sané, Gnabry, don't they? All these kind of flair players that will be bombing forward. So,
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, their wing
you know,
backs aren't the quickest. Like yeah.
no.
Look, we'll see. And they have an aging. I think they have a young 19-year-old Pavlovich or something in midfield. So it'll be a good draw. And I think hopefully Arsenal can play with a bit of freedom. First leg obviously isn't great at home, but if we
Mm.
can, I wouldn't be surprised if we, took a healthy lead to Munich now. I'll know after the first 20 minutes to half an hour if what the tie is going to be like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And how tactical it's going to be, or how, like, how it's going to turn out, I think. But what's a pity for me is that the Madrid and City games are on the same time,
Oh,
which is
are
a bit of a
they?
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're showing the same time, which
Oh,
is kind of a
oh
bit
really?
annoying because the two games are the two,
why have they done that?
I
something
don't
to do
know.
with, I think it's something to do with the other ties in Spain and police and stuff like that. I think
Right.
it's yeah,
Oh,
whatever way
wow.
they couldn't be on at the same time. The
Yeah.
the Madrid and
The
Atletico the Madrid and Atletico game couldn't be on at the same time or something like that.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But you
The
do go on. Sorry. Dave.
no, just do you think like it will be Arsenal versus City in the semis, or will Real Madrid or Bayern? You know,
I'd be fairly confident it'll be an English semi-final. Yeah, I think so. I think it will. Yeah.
I'd be weary of Real Madrid this year, having got Bellingham in. Like, and I mean, they're number one in Spain. We did do we bet them well last year, and I thought it was probably the best game we played last year was against them at the Etihad. But I don't know, just the fact Bellingham's there now and like he's obviously having a brilliant season. It was probably the toughest game Real Madrid outside of Arsenal. I said it would have been the toughest game we could have got. Wouldn't have liked Atletico, but I don't know, Real Madrid or Real Madrid at the end of the day. But Yeah,
Atletico aren't that good. Like even their night there, did Barcelona go away to Atletico and bet them
Hammer them
3-0,
3-0, yeah.
hammer them like
okay,
they're
okay.
I know what you're saying in regards to that the type of game that you'd have with them, but
Yeah.
I still think that Arsenal and City would be streets ahead that you get over the line. Like, but it'd be interesting to see what way they are. Are you away first like that?
We're away, yeah. So we were
Yeah,
home second, like, so I'm delighted about that. And the way that
And
the games have fallen, we have Luton at home in between.
yeah,
So I'm happy enough with that.
yeah, you got a nice draw.
And then the weekend after the second leg, it was going to be Tottenham away in the league. But now with the FA Cup, it's City versus Chelsea in the FA
right.
Cup on the Saturday. So just the way the fixtures have fallen, I'd be happy enough. But again, look, it's Real Madrid, so we'll see.
Mm.
And on the other side of the draw, I mean,
What a chance!
honest to God, what Atletico Madrid versus Dortmund, PSG versus Barca. Out of the four, who's going to be in the final?
Barcelona.
You think so?
I think Barcelona will be in the final. Yeah,
You think they'll be?
I think Barcelona will beat PSG over 2 legs. I honestly PSG. Yeah, they won't be winning anything.
Uh,
You know, Mbappe is their he's the kingpin, and it would be a great way for him to go out to lift the Champions League with PSG. But I don't see it. I think Barcelona will beat them over 2 legs. Yeah, I
I
do.
think, like, honest to God, I agree. Whoever comes out of the four of Arsenal, Bayern, Madrid, and City, they won't, like, there's no such thing as a walkover, but I mean, it's a
No,
fairly,
there's
it's a,
something romantic as well about Barcelona, and it's Xavi's last game as well. Don't
that's
forget
right,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah,
of the four that are left, they'd be the one that because I think they're doing all right. Barca recently, I think they got their
they
shit
are, but
together. They were kind of going quite poorly, but you
well,
couldn't have Dortmund at all. Like,
no.
no,
Yeah,
Or
Dortmund would have
Atletico.
been the ideal draw, I think, for
yeah,
most teams in that. Like,
yeah,
Four. So
they're
Atletico Madrid and Dortmund and then kind of cancel each other out. So it's either PSG or Barca, I'd say, in the
the
final.
winner comes from
Yeah,
the Arsenal City side, I
yeah.
think. But look, it's a long way to go. I think.
absolutely.
Look,
The week,
I think City could win it out again. To be honest, I'm just.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like, we had that Arsenal over 2 legs, and I think I said it on the pod here. You'd rather be playing them in a final than over 2 legs. I think if you're an Arsenal fan,
Yeah,
you'd
the
rather
only
have an
thing
over
is
and
just
game.
it's just like it's in Wembley and they're playing, two English teams at Wembley. It
that's
just
right. It's in Wembley. Yeah,
doesn't really
yeah.
feel like it could be the FA Cup or something. You know what I mean? It's just I just you like to play if you're playing. I don't know. It's just I've been out of the Arsenal been out of Champions League so long. You're just kind of you're longing for some of them European nights
Of
against the
course. Yeah.
heavyweights of Europe rather than playing English teams. But look, it
In
is
your
what it
back,
is.
in your back door, as you
Yeah.
Yeah,
call it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Europa League. Liverpool versus Atlanta versus the winner of Benfica and Marseille. And then on the other
Mm.
side, AC Milan versus Roma versus the winner of Bayer Leverkusen and West Ham.
Mm.
You're happy, Dan?
Yeah, I think both draws. I was delighted. If I had a pan pick for myself, and I would have rather Roma just because I think they're a horrible club and I'd love to knock them out. But
Why are
uh,
they a horrible club?
I don't like Roma. I've never really liked them, and Keenan supports that we had in the podcast as well.
Yeah.
I don't like Keenan, so I know.
Yeah, it's all linked there.
Yeah, it's all like no, I would have liked Roma from that point of view to have the crack with Keenan, but
Okay.
I'm happy enough. When I looked at the draws, honestly, I wanted Leverkusen on the opposite side. Not
Yeah.
not just because they're very good, but it would start a lot of the conversation around is Alonso going to be the one to succeed top?
Yeah,
It's a lot of conversation going in the media. You don't want that because until you might meet them in a final. I think we've now a really great road to the final because I don't know how many times we've hockeyed Benfica. If we manage to get them again in another semi,
Yeah, or Marseille. Is it Marseille or Benfica?
yeah, Marseille are
Too
not a
handy.
great side.
Well, you
Yeah,
think
so
it's handy, but like
no, there's no gimmies at all because it depends on what we
the way
are.
game.
Yeah, the away game. It depends what way I suppose things can fall in the league
Yeah.
and the way entries and everything go. But like when you look at it there on paper, from the start of the tournament, Liverpool were favourites to
Yeah.
win the Europa. They're a Champions League outfit playing in the Europa League, and I think
Yeah,
Sparta
yeah.
probably want to tell, but they are. So
Oh, they
that's
are 100%.
where
Yeah,
most of the
yeah,
other
yeah.
ones that are playing in the Europa now, that is their level. I mean, that's where you
Yeah.
expect to see Roma, you expect to see the likes of Atlanta. So I think that all things lead to the Aviva. I know it sounds maybe it's awful cocky saying that, but I do think
No,
that
it is. I mean,
you know.
just looking at barring something ridiculous, you're not losing to Atlanta. You're not losing to Benfica or Marseille. So,
So you're looking at it on the other side of the draw. Then I think that I think AC Milan might beat Rome over 2 legs, and then I did say it to poor Ronan, and we were chatting. I was like, Jesus, I wonder will you get Leverkusen because you seem to like get German teams because they got Frankfurt there a couple of years ago. They knocked them out in the semis of the Europa, and then they got Freiburg there. And I thought, well, they get another German outfit, and I do feel that they struggle. I know he was trying to kind of say, "Oh, they only got like quarterback," and I responded to him and said, "Well, you only got a draw in the last minute against Burnley at home." Was my comeback to him there recently. So it'll be interesting to see. I'd love West Ham just to say I'd love West Ham to get through and for Liverpool to West Ham in the final just because I do have good time for Ronan and that as well. I just think it'd be.
Would you rather that than Bayer Leverkusen?
Well, of course, from the point of view is I think we beat West Ham. Like we've done them in the FA Cup a number of years ago, and I'd love to have that bit of crack with Ronan as well. But like
that would be gas, wouldn't it? West Ham, Liverpool final.
But partly would be if we didn't win it and we lost, I wouldn't mind losing it to West Ham. I mean, I think
fair enough.
Like so Ronan and a good few of the Hammers fans there in that loan that would go over to games constantly. And in fairness, I don't know if poor Ronan has seen West Ham win a game this season. All the matches got over to see them today.
But he watched Arsenal game, didn't he?
He's watched. Right, yeah, he was at a few, and I'm not sure if he'll correct me. I'm sure he'll message us, but I don't think he's been at one that they've won so far this year. Now I think he's going to the Leverkusen tie. I think he got a ticket. I think for
okay, very good.
Yeah, which we could crack. But I'd love to see Liverpool West Ham final in the Viva. I think we could crack. But I think it will be Liverpool Leverkusen. And they're flying. That's a tough game. Like they're flying. You know.
That's kind of written already, isn't it? It's Liverpool versus Bayern Leverkusen.
Flop, Alonso.
It is it's like the story writes itself. I mean,
yeah, the Leverkusen game against West Ham would be interesting because just to give you a kind of scale of where things are with them in general, and the German league versus English league and all that. But it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Did you see what they're doing in Croke Park? Did you read that?
No,
vaguely.
Oh, for the fan zone.
Yeah. So they apparently confirmed that if Liverpool get there, that I don't think is it based on if Liverpool get there. I think it might be. Doing a big massive fan zone on Croke Park would be some crack.
They were terrified the fucking Rangers were going to get through. They'd have to have the Rangers fans in Croke Park and everything like that.
Yeah.
But thankfully that didn't happen.
Yeah. So I think like that. Look, I think all eyes would be on hopefully Liverpool getting to the Aviva and then.
Hell of a way to fucking like that'll be Klopp's last game. So if get there, that'll be class. What a place to finish like.
Yeah, it'd be unreal. You know? It would. Yeah. All right. So
we'll follow that closely as well. So now fantasy football. Lads, tell us how you got on.
Villa. Come on.
Oh, the European Conference League.
God, Howard, he's just so smug, isn't he?
Smugness. Yeah.
Do you want the truth? I haven't even wrote down who's playing who in the Conference League. All right, you tell me who are Villa playing.
They've an easy tie. Dan,
they're the best side.
Dan, you tell them.
They're the best side left in it.
Of course they are. They're going to walk the fucking thing.
Well, I think they have a good chance. Had a good chance from the start, but I think Ajax one was a bit of a dodge one. So they have Lille. Did you play Lille in the? Were they? No, it wasn't Lille.
No, it was Lens.
Lens. Sorry, So they're playing Lille. Who are they going all right in France this year? No?
I think they are. Yeah, they're usually kind of in the top. Yeah, top 3 or 4.
But like, who's left? Club Brugge are left. Victoria and Pleasant. They're what, Polish. Probably Fiorentina are probably the best other side left in it, probably, and that's like
that's what I mean. Like, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fanatic,
they're okay. Like, but I mean, they're not going. Villa are having a very good season. Like, there's.
Yeah. So basically, it could be Villa, Club Brugge in the semi, and then like you're on the opposite side of the draw. What? Fiorentina maybe or Fanatic.
You know what, Deck? You're right. This Conference League business is just.
Anyway,
thank you, Howard.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Villa
should be winning this 100%, given a team they have.
And Emery's record in Europe.
Emery's record in Europe, how well they're doing in the league, the season that they're having. I mean, there's no reason, barring something disastrous, that like Villa should not be winning that.
No, they just need to keep Watkins fit. I think they need to keep Watkins fit. They'd win it. Yeah.
And I read more and more by the weeks that Watkins kind of getting the move to a bigger club in the summer. Arsenal were mentioned, so we shall see. And Isaac as well was linked with them again today. So
stay fit. Yeah, he's quality.
Yeah. All right, Dan. Fantasy football. You had a interesting weekend.
Yeah. So I remember we talked about last week, Deck, that there was only like 4 games on.
Yes.
So it was stick or twist for Dan because he didn't have a free hit to play like a lot of people had, which basically free hit means you can change your whole side and it doesn't cost you any points. So I didn't have that option. So when I looked at my team, I had 3 players playing this weekend. And it was either leave it at 3 or make a few changes, take a few minus points and gamble that things might go well. So I stuck in Madison and Son. And
not the worst decision, not
no,
the worst.
no, no.
Yeah,
Most people captain Son like this weekend. So like where I have taken minus 16 hit and got 18 points, so I was plus 2 for the week. But the only saving grace for me is I would have been better off to have left it. If I had left it, I'd be laughing here. Like, but the only thing is when I look at it, there's most somebody I think 1 or 2 people got were like 30 points. So like it's not as if it hasn't
We'll
done
just
me.
do the quick math on that. So 18 points, and you took a hit of minus 16. So what are we?
I would
2,
have had
is it 2 points? We've aggregated.
That's what I said. Yeah, I already said that, Howard.
No, I was
Keep
sliding out that. The reason I bring it up is that I feel like you can never say anything bad about my fantasy football team ever again now after that showing there at the weekend.
What would you have done? Would you have left it?
I
wanted to have fun, Howard.
If Son had a captain or whatever and he scored a hat-trick, he would have been fucked. But yeah, it's just funny. I just saw when you saw 18 points, like, oh, Dan bet me by 3 points, and then I saw him decided like minus 16.
Minus 16, yeah. So when you look at those, interesting. You look at the table there. Like there's Andrew Curley is 24. My brother Alex got 34. Like there's no one there that's done really, really well.
No.
Near the top anyway. So there's not a massive amount of change. I do think now it's turned into a bit of a 2-horse race though at the top between my brother and Curly Whirlies there, Andrew Curley. They seem to have a small bit of a march on a good few of the rest. So yeah, like you kind of think it might be turning into a bit of a 2-horse race. They seem to be getting away from the rest of the field. But yeah,
it was either going to be Liverpool or an Arsenal jersey at the end.
Is Andrew Curley's Arsenal, is he?
Yeah.
Like Hurt Locker FC is 3rd, but he's like 85 points off first. Like there's 10 games to go, and like kind of an awful lot of people will have 6 or 7 of the same players now. So you are talking about small differentials each week, unless you haven't played your like triple captain or that. Like in fairness, an awful lot of people got done by the Solanke one. I know he got a goal in the end against, but it wasn't a great return. And even anyone that used their free hit chip this week.
That was cast. I know some people used the free hit and they got 15, 16 points or something like that.
Yeah,
they had a great bench. They had a great bench.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was
was pretty but it was very hard to pick. Like, what? I mean, like you're looking at, you're not going to put fucking Chris Wood in. I mean, you're kind of looking at
Muniz from Fulham.
Yeah. You're kind of looking at going you're loading up on Spurs players and then maybe try and get like maybe your man Morris to chip in for Luton and then maybe I put Tony in, it was slim pickings as to my brother Little Rapid in that Fafana lad. You couldn't kick snow off Europa, scored at the weekend for Burnley.
Problem you're going to have Dan is trying to get rid of all these transfers you made.
No, I have my wild card. You see, I was only doing it.
So that coming up.
My wild card will be coming in after the international break.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot for the last 10. Have you left? 10 games?
Running 10 games.
Yeah.
So Dan, where are you on the table?
I'm not on the table. I'm not on the table I sent you anyway.
Oh, you're not on the top. Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
No, I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you that. I'm sorry.
Howard, you're still in the top 10.
I'm 8th anyway.
Good lad.
Yeah, Howard's 8th. I am 12th.
No, not bad.
No, I'm still confident I'll get Europa League.
Conference League.
That's the aim now. It was win, and then it was Champions League. We're now into maybe Europa, maybe the conference. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so again, the winner of fantasy football will be getting a club jersey. So at the moment, it looks like it will be Arsenal or Liverpool club jersey. So the best of luck to Mr. Curley, Mr. Coulter. Hurt Locker, how many points, out of curiosity, is he behind in 3rd?
He's 85, I think, points behind. Yeah.
Nice.
So you don't think it's?
I don't know. I don't. I think it's at this stage with 10 games to go. You'll have separated the same.
He has to be a bit different to the other top. Like he'd have to get a few unusual players in, I think, and then they would have to get a few unusual amount of points. You know what I mean? Rather than he'd have to be. You couldn't really copy the other two because
it's hard to know Deck as well, depending on what tips they left. Now I think he used like most people use their triple captain either on Palland when he drew a blank, didn't he? In that double game week, or Solanke. So most of them have used that at this stage. I'm not sure what he has left. If he had Actually, I have a bench boost. That's another one that
I
I
have a
keep in
bench
my
boost
left.
left as
Yeah.
well, yeah.
So that could be a differential if by chance you had a week there where you've done it and you had 30 points sitting on your bench, just an extra.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at this stage, though, 80, 90 points is probably a bit far off it, but
It would be fine, given that Andrew Curley has led for so long. If he just fell apart in the last few weeks and your brother overtook him,
Well, he
like
just support
maybe,
Arsenal, so you know what happens to them.
oh yeah, maybe 2 or 3 games to go if your brother just overtook him, or if he got even with him, maybe with 2 or 3 games to go. We'll
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
All right, so final segment this weekend. So it's the predictions competition. It's an international weekend, so on that basis, I've decided to make it a little bit interesting. Instead of picking 3 predictions this week, we're going to go pick 2 predictions. So
The
if you,
meds are working, Howard.
Yeah.
I blacked out.
Oh, he's a kite.
What do you call it? So if you can get 2 predictions, predict 2 correct scores for the following games, you will win match tickets to a Premier League team of your choice. 2 match tickets.
This is the one,
So
Howard.
the two, have you seen the games that I've picked?
No, I can't remember. One.
Oh, for fuck's sake, good luck. The 2 games I've picked this weekend, internationals, are England versus Brazil.
All
Not too
right.
bad. Yeah, that's not
Okay.
bad. Second one, Guatemala versus Venezuela.
Okay, hang on a second. You have to give us a moment here now. I need to look
I
at
know
this.
what meds he was on when he picked that one.
I
What
don't
what
know.
is that in? Can you tell me? Is that a friendly?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
they're all
friendly.
friendlies. Yeah,
Oh, they're all
yeah.
friendly. Sorry, yeah. What is it?
England and Brazil is on next Saturday. Guatemala and Venezuela is on next Sunday. So Dan, England and Brazil.
England at home.
It's in
England are at
Wembley, I
home.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go 2-2.
All right, 2-2. Brazil have actually gone to feck nationally.
Mm,
The national
yeah.
team. They're not
They
like
were
they're
struggling, or they struggled to qualify there for one stage for, was it the, I
I
can't
don't
remember.
I don't know,
Was it
but
Copa
like
America or something? Anyway, I can't remember.
Howard, England, Brazil.
I'm going for 2-0 England.
2-0.
Are Brazil not bad?
Yeah, no, it's
Ireland,
actually for the qualifier. Where is it?
they're
Was the
not great anymore.
qualifiers what's the next qualifier? Is it World Cup or is it
World Cup.
Yeah. They were struggling to get through, I think,
Yeah.
from memory.
So you
No.
reckon I should be changing my prediction? Is that what you're telling me?
No. I'm just saying. Well, yeah, Gabriel Jesus is out, and Martinelli. All the 3 Gabriels are pulled out.
Jeez, Brazil have lost their last 3 games. Fuck.
Yeah.
Can I change my prediction, Deck?
Yeah, of course.
2-1 England.
2-1 England. Okay. And now the big one.
Fuck.
Guatemala versus Venezuela.
I studied it there for the last 2 minutes.
Go on.
And they're both shite.
They are both.
But what was the one you gave us before? Was it Kosovo or Israel? Is that what you gave us before? You're an awful
was it
rat.
No, it was
Azerbaijan
Yeah,
versus
Azerbaijan.
Israel, I think.
Right, okay.
Got
Which one was it,
called off.
Kosovo?
Was it Kosovo?
Oh, I think it was
Kosovo was one of
Kosovo.
them, I think, but I think
Was there someone
Azerbaijan
else?
was definitely
Right, I'm just looking at it here. So
in there somewhere.
Guatemala have lost.
Well, if the volcano erupts in Guatemala, they might have to postpone that game
If
now,
it's
actually.
postponed, everything is null and void.
What are you messing? Yeah, the volcano there, all it's gone off.
Right, I go Guatemala at home, are they? I go 1-0 Venezuela.
Venezuela. Okay, Howard.
I'll go 3-0 Venezuela. Just the Venezuelans, they have their tails up now after the last few games.
You know a lot about them, do you?
Oh no, they're a serious outfit. They're a serious
Good
outfit.
stuff. Very good. Okay, so again, just this one week, it's International Week. So if you could predict 2 correct scores of England versus Brazil, Guatemala, and Venezuela, you will be the winner of 2 match tickets to a Premier League team of your choice. Very best of luck.
I just seen the goal machine that scores for Venezuela. Salomon Rondon.
Oh yeah,
No way! No way! Who's he with now?
Oh fuck! I don't know. I remember. Did he go to the circus? No, where did he go? China or something? Didn't he?
Don't know.
He was at Everton, wasn't he? Under Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
Wow.
I click into him here and see where he is. Where is he at these days with himself? That's hilarious.
Salomon Rondon.
Salomon Rondon is playing for
QPR. He played for that at one stage. I don't know. Everyone's QPR.
Pachuca. He plays for
yeah.
Pachuca.
Of course.
Well.
Yeah, I presume are there Mexican league.
I would have to do. We'll have to do a few predictions in the Mexican League next time. Get them in there.
Right.
Yes.
that will do us for this week, man. Any other business to discuss?
I do. I've one small piece of
Well,
business.
that's okay.
I just wanted your opinions on the whole Ben White thing. That was very interesting.
Oh yeah, the Ben White thing. Yeah.
Interesting, yeah. Suppose what's he call it? He left. He left. What do you call the international team last summer, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or was
he
something
left
before?
during the
During
Euro,
the
was it
World Cup,
Euros? Was it Euros World Cup? What was it that they were in?
World Cup in Qatar, wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry, it was the World Cup during the Winter World Cup.
He
Yeah,
left, and like there was never any real reason given as to why he left. He just, I have a small feeling that maybe he's not the most popular of players within a team. I don't know. I just get the feeling I just don't think he liked being there, and I think that he might not be the easiest to get along with. But that's me basing that on nothing. It's just
He,
that's my observation.
he got a bollocking off your man Holloway. He
no, it's
Southgate's
Steve
coach,
Holland.
was it?
Yeah,
Steve Holland,
Steve
sorry.
Holland. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
gave apparently had a row with him, a bust up or something.
Yeah,
And
Holland started going at him that like, oh, you don't like football, blah blah blah. Because he came out, he basically came out saying like he doesn't really like football. He plays it, he gives it 100%, but he's not sitting at home watching football when he's
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And Steve Holland basically kind of started remarking about that in the camp, and
Okay.
apparently that was a bit of a touchy subject. And then Southgate came out and kind of sold him down to Swanee there, was it 2 weeks ago when he announced the squad, or last week, and just said like, oh, it has nothing to do with Stephen Holland, there's nothing to do with me. We all get on fine. Like Ben just doesn't want to be part of the setup, which is BS really. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's nothing to do with that. Like or it has something to do with something. Like it's not that he just not turning up. Like
It's
so I say
amazing though. It is amazing though that a player would turn, especially given that England will win to this competition probably as favourites
yeah.
or maybe second favourites to France. But like to give up that opportunity to go, even though he has
He
been playing
has
well.
that kind of don't give a
Yeah,
fuck attitude. Like he really
yeah,
just, you can see it in him. Like he doesn't really care. Like he doesn't really care what people think, kind of thing. He doesn't really care what people
Uh,
think. Like you see him in interviews afterwards. Like he's just kind of, he's just like, what do you want me to say? Like I'll just, he's quite like he's quite unusual kind of guy. Like, but he's
yeah.
really liked it in Arsenal, and his teammates all get on with him.
Mm.
And he's literally he play like there's stories about him playing through hamstring injuries, Achilles injuries. He gives he gives a serious effort in what he's doing, like but I think he just, if he doesn't have a grudge, if he holds a grudge against someone, he kind of he won't be coming crawling back to you, put it that way.
I
Like
thought it was
Dan.
interesting.
If Dan holds a grudge, but good luck.
Yeah, you're God, you do a Ben White in you.
I'll do it, Ben White. I will. Yeah.
But no, yeah,
What do you think,
it is
Dan?
interesting. Yeah.
No, I just thought it was very interesting because you would rarely, kind of see this kind of a scenario happen where a player,
Yeah.
who's in good form, who had likelihood has a chance of, he probably has an outside chance of starting. I don't know where centre back. Would he play centre back?
Well, right back, I'd say play like they don't like
What if you
who
Walker?
starts ahead of him, no right back, Walker, like
Walker,
he's
Trippier.
yeah, like Ben
Won't get
White's
a right
been
back on, will he?
like has been like Arsenal's right back all season, and
Yeah.
he's been, like depends what kind of system you play. But look,
Yeah.
I think once Southgate goes, which will probably be this will be his last tournament, like he'll be back in. I'd say there'll be no problems there.
There's one for United job. Here we go now.
Oh, Southgate, yeah. I heard murmurs of that actually, by the way.
They'd have to be heavy favourites for the Euros. Just
I
given
think-
the players that they have. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous
Yeah.
that they, I mean,
We should talk about that closer to the time because it is outrageous. I know we were chatting about one day in the group or WhatsApp group, just about how much talent that they have. It's actually ridiculous.
You can imagine Kane up top with Bellingham, Foden, and Saka in behind them.
Mm.
I mean, Rice sitting behind them. It's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
all right, listen, lads, we will leave it there. Thank you very much for your what do you call it? Genius input as always.
As always,
all right, and we will have
on Venezuela.
On Venezuela.
We'll have our Venezuelas out.
Indeed.
Celebrating Venezuela.
What do you call it? Yeah, get your predictions in by 10 p.m. this Friday. We will not be with you next Monday, but we will be back the following Monday to review Manchester City versus Arsenal.
Yeah.
We will see what happens. All right, man. Thank you very much. All right. Have a good week.
Cheers,
See you later, guys. Good luck.
All right. Good luck.
Bye.